Those confrontations occur mostly near settlements. In 1967, Israel began occupying the West Bank, which is also known as the Palestinian territories. Since then, settlements, widely regarded as illegal under international law, have come to dominate the West Bank. Israel insists they are not illegal.
And we see here Ma'ale Adumim.
But this will never happen, according to Daniela Weiss, a founder of the settler movement. In the 1970s, Daniela Weiss would regularly meet Ariel Sharon, then Minister for Agriculture, to plan settlements so no Palestinian state could emerge. You and Ariel Sharon were determined there would not be a Palestinian state.
With my many talks with Ariel Sharon and with my work with Ariel Sharon, there was a clear understanding, a very clear planning of spreading the Jewish communities in the way that there will be no option for a Palestinian state in Judea and Samaria.
Despite international condemnation, settlement growth is surging. If a Palestinian child said to you, what is the hope for me, for my future, to have my own state? What would you say to that child?
This land was promised to the Jews by God, and all of it. It's true that in the course of history, Arabs came to this area from all over, but the promise of God is more important than the changes in history and the political changes. That is why you have to put it deep, deep into your mind that you do not have any chance whatsoever in any point of history, neither you nor any of your offsprings, to ever have an independent state of your own here.
To understand Israel's two different legal systems, it helps to come to Hebron, the largest Palestinian city in the West Bank. Here, 800 Israeli settlers live in the centre of Hebron, surrounded by 180,000 Palestinians. This used to be a thriving Palestinian market. The effect of Israel's occupation is obvious. Now it's a ghost town. Israeli soldiers will not allow Palestinians to walk along these streets. Palestinians say they've been forced out and many buildings taken over by the settlers, protected by soldiers. This Palestinian man wants to walk along this street.
I am from Hebron. I can or I cannot?
You cannot.
The first time I visit here, I can?
No, you can't.
Can I ask why can't the Palestinians walk this way?
This is the order I got.
Why, as a Palestinian, why can't you walk there?
I asked him that I want to pass to go to the cemetery to visit my father's grave. He said that you cannot, you must.
I just find it interesting that we as foreigners and I as an Australian can walk there, but you two are Palestinians in the largest Palestinian city in the West Bank and you cannot. When we visited Hebron, it was early morning. Many Palestinian children were walking to school. Suddenly, we heard tear gas being fired. The Israeli army told us it was in response to stone throwing. We couldn't confirm this, but we saw these Israeli police assembling. Then they fired tear gas towards the children. We saw no provocation from the children who were trying to avoid the gas. The teachers said tear gas was fired here almost every day.
Every day like this.
And why do you think the Israelis do it?
They thought that to protect their settlements, but we want to to study our children. In the last week, we take 3 to the hospitals from the gas.
How are you? You speak English?
We approached the police.
We're from Australian television.
We cannot talk with you. No.
But can I just ask one thing? Excuse me, we've just been standing here now. Why did you fire the tear gas towards those children going to school?
We can't talk to you. We cannot talk to you. Thank you.
No, but they appear to be children going to school normally. Can I ask you why you fired this and the other tear gas at them?
Hebron has long been a flashpoint. What occurs openly here, one law for Israelis, one for Palestinians, is typical of the West Bank, according to Yehuda Shaul, who served here as an Israeli army commander.
The DNA of the military operations that we see in Hebron, we see all over the West Bank.
Yehuda Shaul founded Breaking the Silence, 950 current and former Israeli combat soldiers trying to end human rights abuses.
He is going to stop it.
Last July, one case shocked many. On the streets of Hebron, 5-year-old Wadia Maswadeh was picked up by soldiers. An Israeli settler had claimed that he had thrown a stone at him. His friend tried to help.
وصار يعيط خفت عليه ضليتني ماسك ايده والجيش سحبه مني ودفعني الجيش على الباب. أنا قلت له تخافش أنا معك ومسكين من الخوف على بطني. أنا سألت عليه جيت أعيط بس مسكت حالي دمعتي نزلت ومسكت حالي ودليتني عابطه وماسكه.
كنت ألعب أجهز السيارة أو بالكلب قدامي لطخت عليه حجر اللي هو يطوف في حجر السيارة اللي هو دي روح أنا في ولد لطخ عليه حجر.
The boy is taken by 6 soldiers. He was released after 2 hours. One settler making one allegation is able to activate this level of military intervention against a 5-year-old. When his father intervenes, he is blindfolded.
هيك الجهر داوين بقول لك ما احنا عارفين انهم كلهم بيعرفوا اهل المنطقه وسكان المنطقه هذه بس هيك شغل اسلوب سقاطه فيهم وقال تهجيج بس هيك هذا شغلهم.
When you see an Israeli soldier in the street, what do you think?
لا بخاف منها.
And what happened when they took you into the van? What happened then?
كنت أعيط.
Here, a settler fires live ammunition, hitting a Palestinian youth in the side of the head. Again, soldiers stand by.
When we see settlers attacking a Palestinian, our orders are not to intervene.
Palestinian children face danger on 2 fronts: night arrests from the army and violence from settlers. To get to school each day, these children need to walk past this settler outpost. Attacks from settlers have become so bad that the army escorts the children. But school is finished early and the army has not turned up. Today, the children are on their own. Their only protection is this Israeli volunteer who hopes by carrying a camera he will deter settlers.
How do you feel, though? You're a Jewish Israeli. How do you feel about this?
I can't describe this in words, because I feel myself as partly a Holocaust survivor, because my grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. He was partisan. He ran away for a few years, and all his family died in the Holocaust. And I don't get it, how from one who was suffering from all those stuff, we became people that are making other people suffering for our behavior. It's break me. It's really break me.
Islam Dar Ayub was 14 when Israeli soldiers arrived at his house at 2 a.m.
كنا احنا نايمين الساعة 2 بالليل، فكان انه يدقوا على الباب بشكل عنيف جدا وقوي جدا. فتحنا الباب انه تحركوا كانوا انه السلاح يعني على طول مسلط علينا. فأنا وقاسي جدا انه ليش، طيب ليش، شو في، احكوا لنا شو في، شو عامل هذا الطفل، شو كان، انه ساكت اسكت، وضرب فيه وفي اخته وفي ابوه، فوتونا على البيت وسكروا وضرب غاز وضرب قنابل صوت.
Islam's arrest was part of a practice by the Israeli army known as mapping. Palestinian children are now regularly woken up at night, photographed and questioned about which bed they sleep in. This video shows Islam on the right and his brother being photographed by Israeli soldiers after being woken up.
What the army has done is that they have come to all the houses in the village and ask for the children in the house to show them where they sleep. They take pictures of the child, they ask for their ID numbers, and they map them.
3 days after mapping this house, the army returns in a nighttime raid and arrests Islam. Later, police come for Islam's 9-year-old brother, Karim.
He was 9 years old, I think, when he was first arrested, which is completely unacceptable even to the army authorities.
Islam's interrogation was filmed. It quickly becomes clear that what the authorities really want is information about the leaders of the non-violent protest movement in the town, including Bassem Tamimi. Enormous pressure can be applied during these interrogations.